Recorded live from Portland, Oregon, it's the Transamorous Network podcast. Let's get it on. It's the Transamorous Network podcast. I'm Perry.
I'm Remy.
And I'm Shannon Scott.
And this morning we are very excited. We're going to have a celebrity guest. The second one that we've had. We've had so much success in having the manifestation of everything we desire. Yes. I mean, we've got transamorous men who are coming on. We've got cis trans couples who are married coming on the show now. We just had Sarah McBride. I can't believe that name just came out of my mouth because it's so hard for me to remember her name. And today we have Alexandra Grey.
Yes.
An actress. Yes.
Actress. Alexandra Grey. Actress, singer.
Actress. Is she a singer too?
She is a singer.
Oh.
She is a singer.
She has a wonderful voice. But let's welcome her to the show. Hey there, Alexandra.
Oh, welcome.
Welcome and good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time you're listening to this.
We're so excited.
It's morning time over here.
It's morning time over here too. Where do we find you? Are you in Hollywood?
I am in North Hollywood.
North Hollywood.
Sort of in Hollywood, but not in the busy part.
Right.
It's all good.
Awesome. So Alexandra, have you watched the show at all? It's okay if you haven't.
No, I've seen like some of your videos on
Oh,
YouTube.
that's right. Yeah, on YouTube.
You sent me video links, I think.
Yeah,
I've seen a few of your interviews.
And how amazing were they, Alexandra?
Amazing
they were
enough.
pretty sickening. Yeah, I saw one you posted on Instagram. I think I was looking at it. I was looking at it last night. So
okay, good. So you have
I love it. Really great stuff what you guys are doing.
Right.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you. We really appreciate that. And thank you for joining us.
For sure.
Of course.
So Alexandra, why don't you go ahead? So I was surprised, to be honest with you, I didn't know who you were when I first saw you on Instagram. And I was surprised that you are an actress. And then Remy just told me, I didn't know this either, that you are a singer as well. So,
yeah, I actually have a concert this morning. So as soon as I finish this, I'm going to
Are you
to
serious?
Grand Park.
That is awesome.
I have a performance there. So that's actually where I'm going to be heading to after I finish the interview here.
Wow. So okay, so let's honor Shannon and tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Well, I'm 26. I'm a singer and an actress. It's so funny. I hate saying act. Like when people say, "Oh, I'm an actor," it's like, are you really an actor?
You're a waiter, right? You're a waitress, right?
Like, I really am an actress,
right?
It's like I've done a few television projects and stuff, and so last year was a great year. I got to do a lot of primetime stuff, and I think this was a pretty big deal to be a trans woman of color.
Absolutely.
On primetime TV. Just having trans people on primetime in general, I think is such a blessing. So
right, absolutely.
It's just been such a great year, and I'm just glad that I get to kind of share my talents with the world and let other trans people know it's possible.
Exactly.
How did you get there?
To the acting?
Yeah. How did you end up in Hollywood? How did you?
Well, I did study theater in college. And then, I just sort of, it's all about who you know in this business.
That's life, girl.
Has nothing to do with it. No. But, I kind of was signed up for a casting call. I got asked to come in on Transparent for an audition. And that was like my first major role. And then from there, it was like everyone was saying that, oh, you're so good. You're going to be such a big star. And then, like once the show comes out, and it was like before the show came out, like I kept getting all these blessings to like be a part of these TV shows. And so it was just like, just such a wonderful year. And so that's how I sort of kind of got into acting. Although I've been trying to do it for years. I've been doing background work for years.
So you said you're 24 or 26?
26.
Wow.
January 1st.
They've been stalking you.
Love that.
She's a Capricorn like I am.
So can you hear us okay, Alexandra?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
So did you always want to? I guess you always wanted to be an act. Can I say actor, even though it's the?
What is your thought on that?
That's the general term for it. You
Yeah,
know?
that's the new gender
So
neutral
that's
air
fine.
quotes
Right.
for actress actor. How do you feel about that? Do you feel that represents you? Do you believe that is actually a gender neutral term, or do you prefer
Say that one more
actress?
time.
Do you believe that that's actually like a gender neutral term, or would you prefer actress?
I think that it can be a gender neutral term. I mean, it's like I sometimes say I'm an actor. I don't think that means that like I'm referring to myself as, a male. I think it's just like the general term for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've
like
noticed that shifting.
Yeah.
you know what I mean? And I think actress is just something that probably fell in like best actress.
Oh yeah.
It probably wasn't even supposed to be an actress, but us women in our rights, we probably.
I am the
We
manageress,
need our-
okay?
No,
Very
I'm kidding.
interesting.
But yeah, I don't mind. Like labels and like names and stuff don't bother me, because I sort of have, worked so hard to like love myself, and so I really don't get offended by anything.
How long have you been working hard to love yourself, and what is it that you do to do that?
I've been transitioning for 6 years now,
Mm-hmm.
and just I think my faith in God just really keeps me so grounded. And look at my little cross up there.
I
I
see
saw
that.
it.
We all did. You're like,
Well,
what's that
actually,
going
it's
on
not my
in the
cross.
corner?
The person who lived here before like left all this stuff in here, so I just thought it was so cute. But yeah, just my faith in God, and like, I feel like I know that I was very talented, and so that always made me feel like I have to keep going, because I have to, just, share my journey with other people,
Mhm.
So that's sort of how I got to this point, I guess.
Well, you seem so confident and happy, and I imagine that some of our viewers, particularly the trans women who have really negative stories, might look at you or listen to you and say, well, she had it on a silver platter. There was, she had no struggles. She obviously
just got
she's 26
lucky,
years
right.
old. She's just lucky. Yeah. How would you respond to that?
Well, I definitely wasn't born with no silver spoon in my mouth. Maybe a plastic spoon, but not
Right.
silver.
Or a spork.
A spork.
A spork.
Okay,
No,
see?
I mean, I think anyone who knows me, or that if you like read about me, I feel like, I want people to know that when I do like articles and stuff, talking about being in foster care and stuff, it's not to be like, oh, feel bad for me. My life was so hard. That's not what it's about. It's like, I just want people to realize that when you see people in the media, and you see other trans women like Laverne Cox and, all of the other big stars, when you see them, you may think that, oh, their life has just been so wonderful.
Mhm.
And it's like,
Mhm.
I feel like being authentic and really just letting people know that, it wasn't always like this, I think is what is important for me, because I never want anyone to feel like, this is just a normal thing, is to just be happy in this. Being trans comes with a lot,
Right.
and transitioning is something that's very hard. And so I don't know, I just feel like I would always tell people to educate themselves, and just always be willing to learn, and to be prepared for whatever it is that you decide to do with your life, because it's never like going to be peachy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a positive person, but I'm a realistic person too. And I don't want to be sending people off just like, oh my gosh, transition and life is going to be great. No, transition and be happy, and be prepared to fight. We're in like crisis right now, so just be prepared to be a part of the movement,
Right.
that's what we're fighting for. So
Awesome.
so yeah,
She seems like she's got
I'm
a
not
really
I wasn't
great
rich or
self
anything,
story.
growing up, but yeah, I guess that's what I would say.
Awesome. What were you saying, Remy?
I was saying she's got a really great self story.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious as to what her story in love.
Yeah. So if keeping on the track of what we're talking about here, Alexandra, do you find because of your success that it's easier to find people to date?
I don't really date because I just think a lot of men who love trans women, I just think that they care too much what society thinks. And I've had several experiences where I was involved with men who, identify as cisgender men, straight men. And, I've been told like, oh, I don't want to go out in public because your voice is too deep or because of this. I mean, it's all
What?
like ridiculous.
Right?
But that's kind of what I feel like trans women get thrown, and people will never understand that unless they really experience that.
Mm-hmm.
Because while dating is hard for anybody, I think it says something when I can't even get a man to be like, and this is just me being 100% real. Cause
Yeah.
No,
I
yeah,
can't be fake.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So I want people to know that somebody as gorgeous as me, child.
Get
Can't
it?
even
Yes.
get a man to be like, I mean, I can get men to, whatever. But like to be like, oh, here, let me take you to dinner,
Right.
without saying, oh, I don't get paid till next week. Oh, I don't have a car. Oh, this, it's like, it's just too much. And I mean, and I know that it has something to do with the whole transgender thing. I mean, it's still new for people. People are afraid of what society is going to say, so I get it. Whatever, I don't get it, but I mean, I
Right.
get it, but
Right.
I don't approve
I
of
think
it. I don't
I think this is
appreciate
really
it.
great.
But it's definitely a challenge to date. So I sort of just kind of focus on my career. And, when something comes along, something will come along.
I think this is a really great spot to talk about our stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead.
Well, one of the things that we talk about here is the stories we tell ourselves. And when I say stories, I mean what we actually believe is going to happen in our lives. And so we tell these stories, like, for instance, years ago, I started telling myself the story that there were men out there just like that. There were men that would, help me with my coat, get the doors, take me out, and be very proud and excited to date me. And then as soon as I started telling myself that story, it started to come true. And
Right.
so, there's evidence that there are guys out there just like that. They can bring you that type of, I guess one of the words would be validation that we're all seeking as humans. So, I mean, I think that we talk a lot about stories here.
I do believe like that there's someone out there for everyone, and that that it will come along, and I know there's many men that love us because
You can just put a period at the end of that.
Anyone can
There are many men that love us.
Yeah, it's not the sex that we're talking about. It's
Yeah.
the it's the
like,
more.
It's like, I mean, I can walk down the street, honey, and I can just pull any guy. You know what I mean? No, I'm just kidding, but I mean, I can. It's like, I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? Because I want people to really understand. But when you take that a step further to say, so hey, let's go get lunch. Hell, you don't even have to pay for me. At least, offer to take me out, or, ask me to go out, So I always just look at it now as I know what I'm deserving of. And I say this with relationships, with friendships, you have to know that you're worth more.
Know
and
your
that
worth.
You're deserving
Absolutely.
of love,
Mhm.
and you're
Mhm.
deserving
Absolutely.
of respect.
Mm.
I've had to tell so many people that, like, I can't be around you because I deserve more. You know what I mean? I deserve more respect. I deserve more because I'm worth it. Just like I would give to somebody in return,
Right.
So, Alexandra, this is really interesting, and I'm glad that Shannon opened up the conversation about stories. It's
Similar story that's out there.
Yeah. So the what I'm hearing you saying is that you had these experiences with guys, and like many trans women, if let's say let's keep it at many instead of all, like many trans women, they have encountered guys who want them for a specific purpose. And
Right.
and many trans women would also say that many of the guys, in fact, some trans amorous men have told us this, that many of the guys that are interested in trans women are broke, or they're in one way or another, they're not, I guess, what society would describe as successful men, quote unquote, if I can use that word. And so there's a lot of agreement in the world about those two stories as Shannon described them. So a story is something that you tell yourself in the form of a belief that ends up creating a reality consistent with the story that you're telling. So if a trans woman, and we talk about this a lot on the show, if a trans woman is saying there are no men out there, and the men that are out
They
there
only want me for this.
Yes,
they only want me for that.
this or
They're
that.
always like this. Every time I have an experience, every time I have a date, every guy is like that. Then what you're doing is you're setting out to the universe more and more of that energy. You're just going to draw in more of those type of guys, the things that you don't want.
Yeah.
It's when you change your story that, okay, so those guys are out there and that's fine, but they're not mine. And that, you know what I mean? And the ones that are going to come across my path are going to be the right kind of guys that I'm looking for, that are going to do the things I'm looking for.
So the thing is, you are undoubtedly one of the most beautiful trans women I've ever seen.
Gorgeous.
And what's really also confirming of that is you know it, and you're not ashamed to just say it like it is. So the question then that I have, and let's just have a straight conversation about it, okay? Because we don't have a lot of time, and I just want to get to it with you. Is what is it? Do you think? And this is, I'm asking you this as kind of like an opportunity for you to self-reflect along with us. What is it, given who you are, that has you interacting with men who don't treat you the way you want to be treated, or don't do the things that you want them to do, knowing who you are and what you deserve?
Say that one more time.
Yeah. What is it about you? So let me ask a different question. Start with a different question. Do you agree with what Remy and Shannon and I just said about stories and how they create the reality? And it's okay if you don't believe that.
No. I mean, I definitely believe you have to speak it, and you have to speak positivity. And I think that wasn't me at first, because it just happened over and over and over and over and over again.
Right.
But, it's just, I got to a point where like I didn't really care about it. I feel like when you speak like that, it's like, I feel like you're like thinking about it. It's just like, that's something that you're always thinking about. And it's like, because I learned to be by myself and to love myself and to do this, it's like, it doesn't bother me. You know what I mean? It's not something that I even think about. And so, I definitely believe that you have to speak it. I feel like I always said I was going to be a superstar, and, I'm
look what
still
happened.
working
Right,
towards
exactly.
that. But you know what I mean? Like, I always said I wanted to be on TV, and to be on TV, like, it's like crazy. So I feel like anything that I ever say that I want, I feel like I'll get it. Maybe not the time I want it or the way I want it, but
Right.
God will give it to me.
Boom.
And so
Right.
I definitely feel like you have to speak it, but I always tell people to just know the reality. You know what I mean? Like, don't let that consume you, but at least know the reality of a situation so that you know yourself.
Yeah.
When something like that happens, you know what I mean? You can know to walk away from a situation, or know to not invest your time in a situation if it doesn't look right. But definitely you have to speak positivity, and you can't, think about the negative and say, oh, well, I'll never work again, or this. You have to do the work, and you just have to just be positive about it. So no, I agree.
100%. So I think you said something really important that I just want to recap really quickly, because it's a critical part of what we talk about. And that's that as long as you speak positively and your story is powerful and positive, it's not so much about when it comes. The universe will bring it to you when the universe decides and when you're ready for it, is what I tell myself. And so I don't get caught up in the timing of it, because sometimes it comes faster than you thought it would, and sometimes it comes slower than you thought it would. But it's about your story and just about knowing that it's coming, and that gives you a really great sense of peace. So I'm glad that you said that. And you also a great sense of confidence, just knowing that it's coming. Like, you're going to be huge. It's done. It's done. From that point on, it's done.
Yeah.
Right.
Now it's just, you can sit back, relax, and keep doing what brings you joy, and it's coming. Yeah.
And that's the
I know
key.
that I'm going to marry a basketball player one day and be the first transgender on Basketball Wives LA.
Oh, my word.
Whoa, I love this. I love this.
No.
Right on.
I don't have time to sit around thinking about all the crappy men that come my way, because I get some good ones, and I have my fun or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm an adult. But
I so want details, but don't give us details.
And you know what I mean, doing like a primetime special on ABC in 2020, and doing a marriage special on E or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, you have to
Something
speak
like
all
that.
that. I speak all of that because I know that it's going to happen, and I know
God lives in the
I'm
Word.
out of this life, and as long as you go your whole life, fighting for what you want, I feel like that's the best life to have.
Right on.
So.
Right on. And it's interesting. We have this conversation amongst ourselves very recently about whether or not we are producing the kind of results that we talk about in our lives, so that we are showing in addition to telling about
Right.
these stories. And the fact that you have chosen to focus elsewhere other than like trying to find that guy. You said earlier in the show that you're not looking anymore. You're not dating so much. That's an okay place to be.
Absolutely.
Because you're allowing the old stories to kind of soothe while you're focusing in other areas. And in the same way, Remy and Shannon and I, while we talk about finding your ideal partner, I want to say none of us has really found an ideal partner, but I
can't
think
quite.
well, you can't really
that.
say it because I have my ideal partner in my wife for now, and the person that I'm also speaking to, whose name I won't use, is an ideal partner for me right now. And I know Remy is talking with someone. Yes,
who's very ideal to
right
me
now. Right now.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know about this. We'll talk about that later.
And Shannon is so focused on her professional stuff. She, very much like you, Alexandra, is just not focused in that area right now. And
yeah, but it's still coming.
well, and
Right.
that's
I got
the
no problem.
thing. And
Right.
so the just because someone talks about these positive stories, thank you. Just because someone talks about these positive stories and doesn't have a person in their life, or hasn't manifested the dream career they want, or hasn't
Yet.
achieved, hasn't achieved that thing, whatever it happens to be, doesn't mean that they're not on the path. And that's what I see. That's what I see you saying with regard to romance and relationships. It's not like you're stuck in the negative story of guys are always like this. It's just that right now you're not focused in that area at all.
She's telling a story that she's gonna have all of the
Yeah.
love and type of relationship she wants when she's ready and when the time is right.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my! And when you're
Definitely.
on Basketball Wives of LA, can I be part of your squad?
Oh, geez.
Like, can I come down and hang out?
Right?
Absolutely.
Hey, I'm holding you to this. I'm holding you to this.
That,
I'm tagging along. I don't care.
what was I going to say? That I feel like it's not even that you don't focus on it or that you're not looking for it or you're not open. I'm always open to whatever. But it's just, I also found that when I didn't focus so much on how many friends can I have or this and that, it was like opportunities really opened up for me. You know what I mean? And I feel like that was the best thing for me because I don't think I could have been in a relationship at this time
Right.
or last year because, my career was being so busy. And that's the beauty of being single or not being married or something because and being young, because you get to really focus on your dreams. And then you get to share that life with someone, when the time is right. So I believe in all of that.
Right on.
And I think that's the key too, is that she's got the right story, but she's also she isn't focusing on it, but she's open to it. And you've set a story and you've opened yourself to it and you moved on. You're living your life. You're doing the things that you're doing and it's going to happen. The universe is going to conspire with you to put things and people right into your path that are going to make it all happen and fulfill those desires and dreams. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing.
Couldn't have said it better.
Well, we're actually getting really low on time.
Yeah, we are.
It has been amazing talking with you.
Oh,
Thank you
too.
so much for joining
Hey, have
us.
you got other questions or anything?
We were talking about before the show that we could probably talk with you for an hour or two, but we wanted to respect the time limitation that you have. And so rather than pushing the limit on time, what I'd like to invite you to do is come back on the show another time. Is that possible?
That is very possible. So now that I've learned how to work this Skype thing, I can do that. And I'll be ready this time.
All right.
I love it.
That's what's up.
All right. Well, Alexandra, thanks so much for being on the show with us. And
Of course.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you. And good luck in all of your endeavors.
Hey, and thank you for repping so hard out there. You know, it's like women like you are the ones that inspire so many people to, you know, keep on crushing and keep on telling themselves stories that they can do it. So, you know, much love.
That's right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Have to.
And for the men that are watching the show, this is an example
For the
of
men that are watching the show,
Yes.
I am 5'5". You know.
You are 5'5"?
You know, I'm available. You know, I have a little downtime from work, so I'm available. So, no.
Your inbox is about to explode.
Right?
what I was going to say was, men out there, this is another example. This person here is another example of the wonderful trans women that are out there, and they're not all skeezers and weirdos. And in order to interact with this type of caliber of woman, you're going to have to step up. And that means owning who you are as a transamorous man, not being ashamed to be out in public with them, and basically treating them like the women they are.
Not just not being ashamed, be proud. Be proud.
I know,
like,
right?
You know,
yeah,
that's the bad B right there.
You know what? I'm very open. I always tell other trans women, you know, be open to meeting guys who they may be uncomfortable, but you know what I mean? As long as they're willing to, you know, I feel like really work towards that, or you know what I mean? It's not like completely ridiculous. I feel like, you know, be open, because I understand that it's different for people. I don't like women, so you know, if a woman, I don't know, you know, we all have our preferences, so I never try to force anybody to say this, or I never say that, oh, that guy is a bad person because he said, oh, no, thank you, I'm not interested, you know, because everybody's entitled to like what they like, and that doesn't mean they're a bad person. He could be the man of my dreams, you know, but it just, I think as long as they are open, you know what I mean, they're honest, and, you know, they're really willing to try to learn about the trans experience and what it's like to date a trans person, you know, I feel like I'm open with that. I don't mind that. So, you know, I just think it's about being open and being honest, and so, you know,
I couldn't have said it better. There you
That's
go,
right.
man. All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show again,
you,
Alexandra.
thank you.
And we will have you next time.